Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Make Mine Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world of Earth 982. Tonight, in our final live stream of 2023, we will finish our look back of Web Warriors, an 11-issue series that was published in 2015. Before we get started, we have to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Patrons such as Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Drammond, Phoenician, Scott, Vanessa, Vicky, and Winnipeg Webhead. Thank you guys. As well as our spectacular patron, Sarah, Greg Williams, Lisa, Ultimate Fangirl EXE, and Keegar. And then our VIPs, Scott McGraw, Sebastian Edwald, and Winnipeg and Vinkman. Thank you guys for your support over at patreon.com/Spidey Network. Speaking of Spidey-Dude.com, check out the Vault series, Clone Saga Chronicles, and Spectacular Radio, as well as Season 1 of ASM Classics. With Season 2, another episode dropping soon. Salby Cinema Era Podcast just launched a show within a show called Web of Music, so if you want to check that out, that's certainly brand new. Voices from the Eerie has wrapped up its run for the year, but if you haven't already checked it out, go check it out. And our Slot Symposium show will be dropping before the end of the year. And, of course, our Patreon first show, Books of X, will be coming out before the end of the year. As always, I am joined, as always, with Kelly.
Hi. You're tripping up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
We're rusty. We've been away for a bit. Yeah.
It's been a minute. So welcome back, Kelly, to the network. We already got some people already in the comments. Hello.
Hi.
So, all right. The audio editions, by the way.
We've been okay. Yeah. I was going to say, let's just talk about the elephant in the room on how we've dragged our feet finishing this out.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Cause we've had, I don't know how far we want to get into it, but me and Kelly have had some crucibles lately. And so, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been hard for us to get focused enough to finish this stupid story.
Well, it's not only that, it's mentally. It's when you're dealing with everything that we've each had to go through. And well, I'll touch base and in my reviews and stuff because I wrote it out in my scripts. But it's it was a lot, a lot. And so just the fact that it's to be mentally prepared enough to come here with a smile on my face and give you guys 110% on this.
It was not easy.
Yeah. So, we didn't want to half butt it and half-ass it, and so we're here. We're ready to go. I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty okay. You're gonna get a history of a meme.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't expect, or I didn't expect tonight.
No, but we are fully prepared, and then we're gonna take a break again, so we can be better. In 2014, hopefully hopefully that Parker luck is not running us down like a freight train, like it's been doing.
Yes, I got a new job that I'm starting soon. I also got more of my equipment for school, so that's why I'm much better lit, and got a new camera as well. So trying to get all that sorted out. I had to literally wipe my Mac and start over. So that was fun because apparently the software was not compatible with the new software update that Apple put out. So yeah, also flat tire.
And yet Apple is superior.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm still not in that group chat.
I know. Listen, they are finally doing RCS, and when that happens, I think that'll greatly help next year. So that's going to be part of the software updates. That is happening. So RCS is Rich Communication Service, which is what Google currently uses. It brings a lot of the iMessage stuff to Android. So they'll be able to talk to each other. That's partly because the EU kind of turned the screws on Apple a little bit. So Windows brothers and sisters stay winning, as Neil says, and he's like, "Oh, I love how Kelly's here again." Hi, Professor.
Hi.
And the Parker, yeah, well, it's hitting.
Okay, it's hitting everyone hard. It's just I think I could give Peter Parker a run for a run of like bad luck money. Like
you've yeah. I'm gonna stay out of that because it's like whoo. Yeah. Also a bit of news that we have.
Yeah.
We've not received an update yet on the Spider-Verse film because since we last recorded, the strikes are over. So yay.
Yay, we can talk about things. Woohoo.
They did drop a trailer of Madam Web, so a Spider-Girl is going to be on the silver screen. It's just not our Spider-Girl. It's
well, we knew this was going to happen. And of course, I will say, as much as like everyone is saying, oh, her name is Spider-Girl, it is entirely possible that maybe someone somewhere within Sony, this is me giving them way too much credit, that they might use Aranya to like help tie in like with culture and just kind of different stuff and kind of find new audiences. But more than likely, everything's going to get whitewashed as it does with Sony.
God, that movie looks so bad. Like,
I love the CGI Sydney Sweeney. That's just it's already iconic.
The costumes look great. At least they look somewhat faithful, except I don't know what the hell Ezekiel is wearing other than like it's a bastardized version of Kane's Scarlet Spider costume.
His everything suit. Everything about Ezekiel in this like screams Kane.
Yes.
And I mean, if like I said, this feels like a mishmash of every different like script plot they've tried, and it just somehow made it. I will say this, like, as much as like let's be fair, we're all gonna be in our seats watching it in the theater. So I don't really have room to like just tear it down by the trailer, because even though it looks terrible, we're gonna be there. Let's be fair. Just as fans, we're gonna be there.
I mean, we feel contractually obligated to be there because like we do Spider-Man content, so we have you know. But
you can't say Venom is not fun, even it's a bad movie. It's not fun, and like Morbius, seeing it in the theaters, especially because of the meme that it created, was fun. Is it a good movie? No.
That probably contributed to my divorce.
Well,
because she goes, never do that to me again. She's like, that was awful. I was like, yeah, well, I mean, sorry. You told I gave her an out.
Said about Jared Leto every day.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
things we can talk about on Patreon.
You see, and I think that's.
I mean, he's trying really hard to be Morbius at that point.
In any case, all I'm going to say is, I enjoy the fact that like even Dakota Johnson chose not to lie about her PR. Like she thought about it. She thought about saying something about how she's a big fan of Madam Web, and then realized no one would believe her. Like midway through that like intro, and I was like, this is where we are on this movie, and I'm excited to see the PR train for it.
It's going to be, you know, it's going to be like Michael Jackson in the Thriller video, you know, eating popcorn meme.
I think we will have fun with the movie regardless of its caliber and quality.
That's true. That is true. So, I guess we can move on to Spider history. I like how you put this, Nita.
Well, actually, Marcy also brought up the like. There is a new May variant. So there is the twins in the new The new little
No.
Ultimate Spider-Man thing?
Oh yeah. Okay, I forgot.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot. I didn't
there's
realize
twins.
one of them was named
There
May.
is a May Park. Yes, there is a May Parker. She is a redhead. We are never getting a brunette Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker ever again.
That redhead gene is strong.
God.
I deleted the cover. I had it in the thing.
No,
so I
no,
deleted
it's
it.
cool. It's we do need to like pop it up because that's been brought up. I have not been able to read it. It honestly does not pique my interest. And
Well,
I'm
it's
a
not even
little-
out yet. It's not out. It's not out till January.
Oh, okay. I thought like there was there leaks or something. I saw a bunch of stuff on Twitter. That's why I was like, I haven't pulled it. I haven't read it yet. I'm sure I will for satellites. Because if I don't take any Mayday, I will never. Like I have to control that narrative as best as possible. But yeah, no, I haven't really touched it yet. Like really looked into it yet. All I know is it's like one twin doesn't like Spider-Man but loves their dad, and the other one is like constantly butting heads with their dad but like loves Spider-Man. That's all I know. It's whatever. It's it doesn't interest me. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, to kind of give everybody kind of context while I'm looking this up. Ultimate Spider-Man is returning in January 2024 with a married Mary Jane and Peter Parker with 2 kids, taking place in this new version of the Ultimate Universe that was created with Jonathan Hickman. So it's going to be Hickman and Chichetto, which I think is a great creative team. Yeah, so that is they've done some trailers and stuff like that on the about it. They also did Stegman did an announcement cover thing.
Okay.
And that's what it's a variant cover for issue 1, I think.
Yeah,
is what it is. And that's where we found that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So
yeah, no, I mean, we need to touch base on it, but it's also like we don't really have an idea of this character. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as it gets brought up because we always do. But of course, it is not our Mayday. It's not 982.
no.
So if it turns into something, maybe like we've talked about maybe touching base with Renew Your Vows,
Earth
but
X.
yeah, Earth X. So we'll figure it out later. That's something to definitely think about, but it's not in our main focus.
Yeah.
And of course, because as we stated during the movie stuff, it's Mayday. It is Mayday. She's adorable. We love her. But it's not, it's as y'all say, variant, or to quote Loki, or it's just a different multiverse. It's a different person.
Yeah, it's not. Don't go reading that expecting that it's going to be just a takeoff of a brand, like similar to how the 616, how 982 branches from the 616 or runs parallel to the 616 and then branches off in its own things. It's the same thing here. It's just its own timeline, its own thing. And if we feel like it's worth covering, then we'll do it. But again, I mean, we still got a lot of stuff to do between now and then, and as we'll talk about later on the episode. So spider history. We have not received, oh wait, that's the wrong paragraph. I won't be doing as no, I was reading the news instead of the spider history. My brain is mush today. I don't know what's going on. All right, so I won't be doing as much spider history this episode because, frankly, I've covered it a lot over the last few, and I feel like it's been a bit of reductive. And so the main bulk of the history portion will be just discussing this story so far, as briefly as I can catch you up, with you guys. So in 2014, Spider-Verse, Mayday's brother was kidnapped and her father was killed by the Inheritors. We thought that MJ and Western perished in the aftermath, but it turns out they were okay. And after fighting with her 616 and multiversal counterparts, our hero ends up with a new uncle in the Uncle Ben of the universe where the Inheritors eventually ended up, a post-apocalyptic wasteland that was a direct result of the inaction of Uncle Has-Been, partially due to his grief of losing his Peter and May, and due to him listening to that Earth's Ezekiel Sims, the ironic protagonist in the Madam Web movie. Why? Because reasons. Anyway, after a brief 5-part miniseries where we saw Mayday dealing with her grief of Peter's loss, she got a new costume that was featured throughout this series. The first story was 5 parts or 6 parts long, where the Web Warriors fought the multiverse of Electros, eventually trapping them in the Victorian era of the Earth of May Riley, where their powers would not be as much use in a Faraday cage situation. Brian Braddock and Mayday would be trapped in this Earth, while the rest of the team would be A, trying to get in contact with them again, and B, trying to figure out why the threads were unstable. Spider-Punk shows up because the fans demanded it in issue 6.
Why are you calling Billy Brian?
I don't know.
You wrote Brian.
I wrote Brian, but is it Brian Braddock is that's the actual Captain Britain, isn't it? That's why. It's Billy. I did that the entire notes. It's Billy. I'm sorry, guys. I got him confused with the actual Captain Britain of 616. Oh, okay. My bad. So
it's
Kelly
fine. He dies.
Later on. Yeah, not
spoiler.
In this story.
Sorry.
So like we've done the last few episodes, Kelly's gonna do the first couple issues, and then I'm going to do the last 3. So Kelly is going to lead us off with issue 7 of Web Warriors.
I felt like I needed to take these first 2 issues for this time.
You'll see why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Web Warriors issue 7 info. It was released May 11th, 2016. Cover date July 2016. Written by Mike Costa. Art by David Baldion, inks by Walden Wong, and the title of the issue is Anarchy. We start this issue in Earth 138. Hopefully I wrote that right. 138 with Spider-Punk. It's a great start, but no Mayday. There's also 2099 Spider-Ham for some fun there, and we jump into Earth 982, where record companies are apparently only slightly less evil than in Spider-Punk's world, where Uncle Ben Bunker is helping Anya with her homework at the dinner table. I'm not kidding. May isn't there, and here are 2 characters that do not belong in 982 whatsoever, just in the Parker house doing Parker things. One of them has stolen, at least outside of the comics, has stolen May's title. And so she's just going to be chilling in her house doing math homework. Just where's MJ? Where's Benji? Where's anyone else from 982? Will the real MC2 universe please stand up? I break down in this. I'm apologizing, guys, for the rant that I wrote, but I am reading it because it is important to me. But to get into the scene, because if we can't get past how weird this is, I guess it could be considered kind of cute because Uncle Ben calms a way younger looking Anya, like she looks 12 years old here with the art, down as she's getting flustered by her math homework. He tells her how proud he is of her and how important math is. And Anya then regrets missing the class and is blaming her living situation, which, maybe if you weren't sitting at a dinner table, not in your not of your own, in a world you definitely don't live in, maybe you wouldn't have missed class, Anya. I mean, I don't know, I'm not like an expert or something. I just think some time management issues and maybe limiting the amount of multiverse jumping a bit could help here. I am hearing feedback.
No.
Thank you. Sounded like an airplane.
Somebody was hot rodding in the highway next door.
Okay. All right. But anyway.
I'm right by a highway, yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not an expert or anything, but maybe if Anya wasn't, hanging around in worlds she doesn't belong in, she could have made it to class. But also not important at all. It's not important at all, I guess. But, May is missing and this team thinks she's just gone. and can't get to her. So why is Anya doing homework in her house? Can people please explain why Anya is in the house? Because they never explain this. She's just there. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why? 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 Like,
it's bizarre.
why? It's bizarre. But why is there no urgency in anyone looking for May at all? Trying to find her, or telling her mom what's going on. I guess they had to tell her mom what's going on, but we don't ever see it happen. Like, no, let's just go into her house and do math homework and like take over like her life, her identity. Like that's not weird at all, man. That's like I wrote like this deserves an F-bomb. I desperately want to say an adjective, but this is so effing weird.
We're 20 minutes in.
I'm holding it, but this is so effing
oh, you're
weird.
saving it for the next issue. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So this whole entire scene is just like, because you wrote in your notes that you felt it was sweet, like it was kind, it was very Ben-like, and it is. But the context.
No, like obviously
the context baffles me.
It is. It's one of those things. I wrote my section, like my thoughts on the issue before you did your breakdown, and I completely agree with you. It's almost as if like it's an allegory for like Anya replacing
May. Yes, thank you. Yes, yeah. No, that's the way it feels, and it's just like this is so
well, and
it's so weird.
I know her dad died in the 8-issue series.
Yeah, Anya's dad died, and she didn't really have a home anywhere. But of course, she is from 616, so the entire point is like, it just none of this makes like I don't understand. Like, is she going to Midtown High? Is she like taking over May's room? Like, why is she here?
And like, is she going? So like, is she like going to 616, then jumping to 982, doing her homework? Like,
yes.
Instead of going to Loom World, I understand like the whole point of the scene was like Loom World's her home now, right?
Yeah.
But and like it's dysfunctional, as we'll touch upon. But
well,
like it still doesn't make like logical. Like there's some leaps in logic here that need to be explained that don't.
Like it feels so like weirdly intrusive. It's so strange. But anyway, it's messed up. And then I wrote like, I'm not the only one that thinks the tone there is just off, right? Like I like it's weird. But anyway, I wrote, what is this? The invasion of the multiverse body snatchers? Like it's like how like they throw May, like the last time we see May, which is how we ended the first part of our episode last time. They throw May, on some whatever world, leaving her and Billy stranded, and then just start living in her house. Like they have this huge thing where like May's like, no, I'm gonna go here, and Anya straight up is just like, well, we gotta leave him. I'm the leader now, and I'm making this tough choice. And next time we just see Anya like chilling, doing homework in May's house. Well, May's straight. Like, do you know like this? No, this is so weird. Like, how does this make these characters likable?
Doing a team book is probably, and I was reading a bit where JMD Mateus was talking about this on Facebook about how team books are so really hard to write, and
you know what would have made this an easier scene to digest? If maybe Uncle Bunker was at Loom World helping Anya with her homework. Why does it have to be in this house?
Right. Like why is Uncle Bunker, Uncle Archie Bunker Ben, in like, is he babysitting Benji? And if so, where's MJ? Is she at work? Like we don't get any like.
Well, I assume MJ has to be at work because now there's only one income coming in. So because it doesn't appear that Uncle Bunker is doing anything but sitting on his butt. So
which I mean, you look and your DNA is Ben Parker, who has been dead now for 30 years. Like there's some
Okay,
questions.
but this is the same universe where April Parker was just able to get signed into school. Okay,
This is true. This is true.
We can suspend the disbelief a little bit. He could obviously find a job.
And you would think that, like,
yes,
Peter...
yes, everybody, we've started we've derailed, and I know I willingly derailed this, but now we're talking about why did Uncle Ben just not get a job?
But like, you would think that Peter would have had life insurance because he's a responsible human being.
I'm sure.
And you would think that would have paid, for
well,
MJ
yeah,
to
and
stay
I mean
at home for a
it's
while.
also and Normie pretty much paid for the house to be rebuilt.
Right.
So I like, obviously there is a lot of support for them, but it's also too, I'm sure MJ wanted to feel like she's
Normal.
doing her part, she's contributing, because it's Mary Jane. It's also just a convenient way to keep her out of there, because I think that would have totally like
broken her spirit.
There's no way this would have worked, because you can't just have someone else's mom just like momming up other characters like nothing's wrong. That would have made it even worse.
Yeah, again, if this were written by Tom and Ron, you would have had a scene.
This would not happen.
This would not have happened. Or if it did happen, it would have been MJ going, okay, this is cute. I understand that you're trying to find someplace quiet, but why aren't you out finding my daughter?
Well, or Mary Jane would have been like, give me your like multiverse jumper. I'll just do it. Like, screw it. It's this.
She becomes Jackpot of Earth 92.
That's how she becomes Jackpot in 982.
Oh man.
These multiverse shenanigans are too much. We're over. Gets a costume that looks just like Wildcard from Normie. Still a better suit design.
It is a better suit design.
Jackpot.
Oh god, that suit design. Can I say ass? It's ass. I'm sorry.
The current Jackpot. We're not talking about Wildcard. Wildcard is amazing.
Wildcard is unironic. Okay. Or iconic.
All right, anyway.
Unironic. All right, moving
on. So like I said, I can't with this thing. But we cut to a headquarters Loom World scene with steampunk Spider-Girl / Lady Spider, whatever you want to call her, wanting to kill Spider-Ham, because if you're named May, you are not respected on this team whatsoever. It's true, because Spider-Ham just straight up ate her lunch. Anyway, they do not give a flip about you if your name is May on this team.
What? Why? Okay, why is Ham suddenly a dick? Like, that's a dick move.
Because nobody knows
that bit, but
nobody understands the characterization of Spider-Ham. That's really it. Anyway, and apparently if your name is May, all things are communal. All things will be shared regardless if you wanted to or not. That seems to be an unspoken rule amongst web warriors. Anyway,
I thought the hippie May was in the Ultimate Universe, not this situation.
No, this is all being done without their consent. This is terrible. Anyway, Spider India and Karn are trying to find the strand to Lady Spider's home world to maybe rescue Mayday and Billy. But we can forget that, since like Spider-Punk comes in with Spider-Ham 2099. Whatever. It's not important. So back in 982, Anya, who I can only assume has decided to take over Mayday's whole life after taking her Spider-Girl handle, is playing with Benji as Uncle Ben watches on, not a care in the world about how this is not his world, and this isn't, this is not this world Spider-Girl. This is not Mayday. Like, they literally gush over Benji and how Bunker says he feels so lucky for finding this world with Benji and his mother, glossing over that within weeks. The Spider-Man of 982 died horrifically, and then their Spider-Girl is stuck with Spider UK in God knows what situation they all felt was dire enough the last time to leave them there. WTF? Is this not a Spider-Girl world? Like, I have this in all caps, and I'm not going to scream it, but like, again, this is why I had to like step on that entire page earlier, because it's like, if I don't break this down on how absolutely weird and disrespectful this entire issue is to Mayday, like I can't. I cannot. So like, can anyone see why finishing Web Warriors is pulling teeth for me? Reading about Bunker finding purpose in his life, like he didn't just steal this from steal this world from two spiders. It feels so disrespectful to me. It's so gross. Adding an Anya here is a literal slap in the face. Salt Anya, in the wound.
Yeah, and the character of Anya didn't do anything wrong either. That's the thing. It's like, but I did chuckle.
No, it's this thing of like, once you walk out of the context and you go, as a fan, knowing what we know, knowing what we dealt with,
right?
Knowing that like currently, Spider-Girl has been canceled for a few years now, because this is 2015, so it's been 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Anya is still running around with the Spider-Girl handle, and now she's sitting here like, and this is not 982's Anya. This is straight up 616 Anya sitting in May's house after everything May's been through, playing with her baby brother as Uncle Ben Bunker is sitting here telling her how proud he is of her and how lucky he is to have found this world with Benji and MJ, but never once mentions Peter, never once mentions Mayday. Mayday is over here. She's made that sacrifice of being stuck in that world knowingly to help contain the Electros. And nobody's like, does nobody care? Like I hate this so much. And this issue in particular, just because this is so frustrating, because it just outside, like just the context and kind of like reading in between the lines as a fan here is disrespectful.
Yeah.
And then in context, in universe, this feels so disjointed to what we have read previously with these characters. It's so weird. So anyway, we've got to get through this. I got to get back on topic. So Anya makes a note that they will find Mayday again and decides she needs to leave and go back to looking for a way to get to the steampunk land. Bunker reminds Anya that she can take a break sometimes, that Anya has friends she can put all her guilt off on and just stay with Bunker in a house neither of them should feel comfortable in. Which I'll hold my tongue so we can move forward, but this is really where I remember how much I hate the character of Uncle Ben Bunker. Because Anya has to remind Bunker about what responsibility means. And this is the second time he's pretty much said, oh, just put off all your responsibility on your friends. You can take a break. You need to take a break. Just put it on your friends. It's establishing a pattern with this character.
Yeah.
That I absolutely hate.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we cut to the first meeting of Spider-Punk and Ghost Spider. Something fans in the movies would probably not want to see because Spider-Punk, I'm like stuck on Bunker. Spider-Punk is fanboying all over Gwen, and that's just not the hobby that we've come to love. But I wanted to mention it here in case anyone wonders why this issue is not in the dollar bin. It does feature their first meeting.
Yeah.
There is an excursion on a 2099 ham world with duck bots and a Dr. Doom 2099. So important. Much wow, to be continued.
All right. Now that we've gotten through that recap.
Y'all are welcome for 30 minutes of me just like completely ranting about what equates to about 5 pages.
So I'm going to read my notes, but obviously it's a little slightly different now. I genuinely forgot about these interactions. And that was wholesome and welcomed, but it kind of felt like they were trying to fix some of the issues with his inclusion, but they do it so clumsily that it's like, it's so bad. And yes, Walter, I do look like a Muppet because I have the hoodie on. But Other than that, like Hobie showing up the issue is fine and fun and cool, but it takes like the bulk of this issue was Costa just wants to write Spider-Punk, or the fans wanted him to write Spider-Punk, and the fans demanded it.
I think Costa just I'll be honest, I think Costa has a definite issue of writing female voices, and I think I will say at least he knows and understands this, so he much preferred to be in a more punky, kind of mean, jokey, spirited world. Like he knows what voice he wants to write for.
Yeah.
And I will give him that in a sense of like I understand that this was not what necessarily this as an ensemble is not necessarily a strength that he could have pulled off at this time. I'm not going to say that maybe later on he can't figure it out, but at this time it's very clear who he wanted to write and who he didn't.
Professor says, is Anya stealing May's life a canon event? So is 6160 Anya going to pretend like to be Ultimate May next? That's funny.
I like Marcy. Can you throw up Marcy's comment before I go into my rant? Because yeah.
Damn, the Americans
for our listeners.
Yeah. Damn, the Americans hate England so much that they refuse to go save Mayday from there because they are scared of the Queen.
Yeah,
she's
it's true.
Yeah, Queen was around back then, but now it's Charles III.
We don't talk about that. Anyway, that's a whole other like spiral I will get on about the British media. Paparazzi conglomerate and how messed up it is and how it's tied to Murdoch and Fox News. But anyway, back on track. As earlier, I said what I needed to. Through this, I can't like this. This is the sort of issue that broke me with Web Warriors originally, and part of why I drug my feet on this issue. Like to get this going and get this episode going. Like, don't get me wrong. I was definitely dealing with personal stuff, as we stated earlier. Like I lost my car, my job, and my best friend to their own demons in a span of like 2 weeks. And, when you're also dealing with living arrangement changes, flooding, and etc., it's insane. And I needed a break after dealing with everything, as I wrote everything everywhere all at once. But as a Mayday fan and seeing this issue, expecting there to be some resolution, as we were given a glimpse last issue that Mayday was okay, just stuck. This felt weird. It's an odd pivot and an odd point to use 982 to use May's home as a setup without her, to use her baby brother as a prop and literally talk about how it's not of the utmost importance to find May and bring her home. After everything since Spider-Verse, it's weird and wild to use Anya in that said scene. And I can't get past that. It doesn't feel respectful in the least to fans who, let's be fair, probably the only people who were picking up this book at the time, especially by this issue. It was Mayday fans and the quickly growing popularity of Spider-Gwen. No one picked this up for Anya because no one was buying her books then. Sorry, not sorry. It's the truth. And Spider-Punk was very, very new. This isn't how you treat a respected and beloved character, or her world. It's not. We know it's not. And then I also wrote, and why is Benji blonde now? Because he is blonde for the rest of the series.
Why? No one knows.
No one
Colorists. Okay. I mean, I have nothing more to say about this issue. I think we've pretty well covered it. Let's, I guess, jump into issue 8 and talk about this rundown.
Yeah. So, issue 8, info released on June 22nd, 2016. Cover date August 2016. Techno Anarchy. Cool.
It's not even a word, guys.
Cool, bro. Cool word, bro. Written by Mike Costa. Art by Dave Valderon. Inks by Walden Wong. On Loom World again, no one is caring about finding Billy and May, but Octavia. But Octavia's lost contact with the remaining team on what I called Ham 99, although it's not Ham 99. I'm confused. from that. But anyway, Octavia and Karn split into a conversation about the web, that the multiverse is connected through, like what the multiverse is connected through the web is very sick. Like it needs a doctor kind of sick. Something is making the web sick. But put a pin in that shoehorn plot thread because we don't actually fully go back to it. But anyway, now mechs are fighting. And we do finally have a Spider-Girl sighting as we cut back to Earth 803. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to talk about this scene? Before that, before we go fully into our first fledged panels of May that we haven't seen in almost 2 issues, let me bring some context for you so you fully understand me here. Let's set the scene before I bring this to you. It's 2015.
I love how we added 2 more people, so they came in right at the right time. So that's
okay,
fine.
Great. So let's set the scene as I bring you in. It's 2015 when this was written, but on 8chan, it's still 1995 somewhere, and everyone thinks it's funny to beat a Saturday Night Live skit like a dead horse when the skit was not even that funny. Gamersgate is happening, and weirdos think the "Make Me a Sandwich" meme is hilarious, and anyone who thinks, it's misogynistic and degrading is just too sensitive or a feminazi. So, of course, our first time seeing Mayday since seeing her weirdly dressed as a steampunk page boy is her carrying a comically large tray of sandwiches from the kitchen, where Billy states May has been in the kitchen making these sandwiches for 4 hours. She was in the kitchen making sandwiches. Let's bring up a meme, shall we, Zach? I shared it with you. Like I want to put a pin in this before we go through this because I really want y'all to understand. This is a meme from around 2015. And for our audio listeners, it's literally a photo of a sandwich and it says, "Hey, you're a woman and this is crazy, but there's a kitchen, a sandwich maybe?" Quoting the 2012 "Call Me Maybe" by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes.
And the thing is like this has been a long-running joke, a long-running internet thing. It even got you can take that off the screen now, Zach. It even took X-Files in 1999 played off of this joke. With Mulder screaming, I think, "Make me a sandwich, woman," jokingly. There are these things that this has been a long-standing thing. So you're going to have the issue before, as we just talked about, where it feels like everyone's just basically running through her life and not really caring about May. And we're going to start her off in this issue where she spent 4 hours making sandwiches in the kitchen.
Yeah, we haven't seen her honestly, 2 issues. She was only in issue really almost 3 because she was only in 1 page on issue 6.
Yeah. So like I said, she was in the kitchen making sandwiches. And first time back after kind of soft launching a possibility that no one is in a rush to get her home. And we see her spending time in the kitchen making sandwiches. And, maybe I was hurt. Maybe I was upset over Spider-Verse at the time I originally read this. Maybe I was dealing with an aftermath of a bad, abusive situation. And the nerd community was not a very kind place during this, as I've mentioned Comicsgate and Gamersgate. Gamersgate was at an all-time high in 2015, especially as this was being written. But this is not great optics. Especially not with everything else we've gone over. Marvel is telling us very clearly how little they care for the character and her fandom here, especially her female fans, even if this was more unintentional than anything. I mean, to me, this shows the inklings of what has snowballed into what we are currently dealing with in ASM today. As a female fan who dealt with Comicsgate and Gamersgate BS online, this felt weird reading. It felt weird in context, especially paired with the last issue that also felt weird. It just solidified we don't want you as a fan. We don't want you reading these comics. You are not welcome. You are not invited. Here's this misogynistic joke play. This is, it's weird. And it honestly, it doesn't hold up. Like I can't take that context out of this. Maybe to someone who doesn't remember these memes, maybe for someone younger, they might not understand it, especially because with the context, essentially May is the only one that cares if the Electros are getting fed. And of course, this does tie back into when they're so weak, they can't really fight back when they do get free. And she's trying to feed her prisoners of war like a good soldier would. But she's
apparently the only one that read the Geneva Convention.
The only one not committing war crimes.
Exactly. Billy, damn it. Why are you committing war crimes? All right.
But like it just I do not understand how this went to editing and nobody went, oh, we might need to like tweak this. Like Billy might need to be the one making the sandwiches, or maybe they both should be making the sandwiches. Something may even touch bases on, and maybe that's what helped this slide. But to have her immediately show up like this is just very off-putting. But I don't know. Like I hate it. Like, and again, as we stated, like, in context, May does like chastise Billy and was like, well, maybe this would have gone quicker if I had some help. Like, these people need to eat. And Billy's like, well, one of them's like a horse. I don't even think they're going to eat a sandwich. So like, why bother? Like, I got to focus on getting us home. Like I honestly, truly think he would have just left them to die.
It's like Dolph Lundgren. If he dies, he dies. If they die,
well, they die. Okay. They put them in basically a Faraday cage.
Right.
And then didn't feed them for days. And the
and
only person worried about this is May.
Well, and also these are beings of like they require, sustenance to create their
and they're in a world without electricity.
Yeah.
This is a thing where I'm sitting here, it's like there's no in context or out. This is terrible. How are you supposed to like these characters?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'll get to this when we get to the end, but it's written like bad fan, like the worst of fanfiction.net.
It really, well, no, there could be worse. There's always worse.
There's true. There's always worse.
But I will say, I do think that this, like, to me, this entire, like, these two issues and, like, how this, like, just snowballs out of control, it does us disservice to, like, not bring up what was going on in pulp culture at the time with this. That's why, like, I'm bringing it up. That's why I'm talking about optics. Because that's what was happening as this was being written very prevalently. And I really would hope Mike Costa today would agree on that maybe this did not age well. Personally, I don't think it aged. I don't think it felt like it hit the way it was supposed to in the first place, but it definitely has not aged well. So as we talk about it, when we get back to away from them, there's more mech fighting. Then Octavia suddenly, because she realizes plot, we need to actually like start tying things up together, tying the story up, because this is definitely not getting more issues. Octavia starts to piece some things together about the web kind of bleeding and merging into each other within different worlds. And we do make mention that while we know of Lady Spider's world being cut off, this probably isn't the only world that has been cut off by the web. But Octavia decides to find 803 no matter what. So she starts pulling at some of the strands to see if they will untangle or unravel, etc., etc. I'd go into how this probably like killed 20 other universes, but since Octavia is the only one trying to bring our girl back home, she can commit multi-world genocide on the big web by controlling Karn against his will all day long. What a girl boss. We stan. We love a queen willing to do anything to get back to plot.
Okay. That's fair.
I would say there's a like this issue like really does just violate all sorts of Geneva Convention like things. Like I just
Dude, that comment though, Professor saying they're everything is simply decorations for the British Museum. That's just what the electrodes are now. It's
true.
only
It's
a
true.
Brit can make that joke and it, not be offensive.
But yeah, no. So then there's more mech fighting. Then Octavia is able to reestablish the connection, but at the cost of splitting the rest of the team across different worlds. She merged in doing so. Like I said, she probably also killed like 20 different multiverses. Rest in peace.
The best part is like she's like, we did it! Like the panel of like the separation of the 5 groups. It's like, oh no, you did not.
Well, I love Octavia did that. Octavia also did that by like hacking into Karn and forcing him to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, she put Gwen in a cartoon world. Noir, Ham, and Spider India are in a neon-looking world, and Anya and Lady Spider are very confused at the sudden disappearance of everyone. Gwen thinks she's dead and in hell, which is possible since one of the mechs also shifted with her. The boys realize they went to a Blade Runner-esque world, even though it's supposed to be Noir's world. And as Billy tries to get a world extraction going, now that he's found a connection, we learn that the shifting opened the mesh prison of the Electros, and, well, Mayday needs some backup here. To be continued. All right, Zach.
All right. Honestly, I was just going to let you take the reins because, like, I knew that this issue was, like, going to be a thing for obvious reasons. Outside of May, as a child of Power Rangers, it's always good. I always enjoy a good mecha fight. But it feels like they are bumbling through this story. And
what do you mean? What do you mean? They thought they had another issues and other plots and then realized they needed to clean this up and finish the story?
Yeah, because for context, I think that they did the first 6 issues. The first issue sold well enough that basically they got an extension, which is basically how the direct market works. Then they realized, oh shit, we only got 5 issues to wrap this story up. Oh crap. And so I don't know if I like it or if I'm annoyed by it. I'm
annoyed.
more
I'm angry at all of this. Like I said, I somehow wound up more offended at Web Warriors than I was at Spider-Verse, and I hope I've established why. I hope everyone understands that this is somehow worse than Spider-Verse.
Well, okay, it's a different kind of worse. They're both different. Like, Spider-Verse was offensive. This is just dumb and offensive. It's a
I was about to be like, this is not offensive.
So, my biggest issue with it, obviously, with May is she's just kind of used to make this plot move along. Like, and she's kind of bumbling, and like that's not Mayday to me. Doesn't feel like.
What is she really like? She's had nothing to do, and she didn't want to be anywhere near any of this to start. She wanted to go home, but she asked to go to lunch to talk to somebody in her age range about like, isn't this weird? Shouldn't I I think I'm gonna quit.
Right.
And then in the heat of the moment, in the battle of the fight, she was like, okay, something has to be done. Which one, and this is something that's been bugging me too. Every character, including Mayday, is so out of character every issue. Like, just compared to like every issue leading up, they always have different motives, different idea. Like they're serving the plot. They're not, but the plot is not character.
Oh no, it's just
it's not being run by the character. Like, it's not character driven.
Yeah,
and that's where things have believability. That's where things will feel grounded. And that's, I think, a large part of this. It's not grounded. It's just feels soulless.
It felt like, hey, we're doing this in the animated series. Let's write a series based off of it and to go. And like I said, we talked about that. They were doing this as a sort of, with Spider-Verse, they were doing the Web Warriors thing to tie it in. Corporate synergy, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely like that. And I just don't think she would have just willy-nilly went to go feed the Electros and would have, like, I don't know. She would have put some more thought into this. Like,
so here's my thing. I actually think May would want to feed the Electros because I do think that she would have been like, hey, look, they're trapped. They can't get food or water, etc. Like, they do need to live. Maybe it's a cruel and inhumane punishment to withdraw basic necessities of life for them.
Yeah.
I think it was just the fact that Billy was just going to let these people starve, that she could not take it. Which I totally understand, and I actually think that that's a very Mayday thought process. It's how the whole thing is executed that is the problem. Instead of the kitchen line or Billy being super flippant about giving them food, maybe we could have cut that whole scene out and instead just have us see Mayday at the makeshift Faraday cage, seeing the Electros hungry, and then trying to find ways of getting them food to them. Before the world shifted. You can show how, once again, May is the only person with any heart or common sense humanity in this multiverse without saying her main role in this issue is being in the kitchen for 4 hours making sandwiches. Hey.
Oh,
could have muted.
I thought I was muted.
Nope.
So sorry.
So anyway, for our audio only listeners, Zach was yelling at his dog. Not at me. No, don't need to have that. But like I said, May's the only person with any heart or common sense humanity in this multiverse. So without saying her main role in this issue was being in the kitchen for 4 hours making sandwiches, we could have had her just actually like showing her giving the food she made to them. As stated, the optics, even if not intentional here, are very telling and off-putting for Marvel of the time, and I believe this still has remnants in Marvel today. And that's all I have to say on this issue.
Yeah, I think, we can definitely move on. I don't have anything more to add. I think you eloquently stated the issues.
Like I'm being like, it's like, no, like seriously, like this is a legit inappropriateness that I do not understand how anyone thought this was okay.
Yeah. Agreed. So, Web Warriors number 9. I'll be doing the rest of these recaps for the rest of the episode. Released on July 13th, 2016. Cover date September. Written by Mike Costa. Art by Dave Baldion. Brave New World. Now, all these issues, there was like a part to these like issues, and I forgot to put that in the, because I was basing this off of our source that we get all of our information on the release dates, and so I apologize for that.
Also RIP to Mike from Mike's Comics, because that's where we get most of our info.
Yeah, that was something that took me aback. They did like he wanted to keep the website alive, which is, that was one of his wishes, which is great because it's a fantastic resource, guys. It's been a lifesaver for us, because a lot of, like, if you're on Marvel Unlimited, it gives you the newer stuff, obviously the release dates, but it doesn't give
the older stuff isn't necessarily accurate.
Yeah. So this whole story is called Tangled States, by the way. So so anyway, we are in the Brave New World Tangled States Part 3. We got Noir Indian Ham on Noir's world of 90214. Anya Punk Lady Spider in Punk's world of Earth 318. Gwen is in Ham's world of 8311, and Karn and Octavia Otto are in Loom world Earth 001. Meanwhile, in Earth 803, Earth of Lady Spider, where Mayday and UK are stuck, we have someone picking up a sandwich, and just as he's about to eat, Mayday swings up and tries to make sure that they don't die. This was a gentleman that was trying to eat.
So can I bring up something?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously this is supposed to be based off Victorian London.
Mm-hmm.
During Victorian London time, indoor plumbing was very, very new. Thomas Crapper had, only in his name was Thomas Crapper, guys.
Yes.
Had, um, had only recently come out, it was the 1850s. And unless you were extremely rich, you did not have indoor plumbing, which means your bedpans and stuff like that would have been tossed out into the street. So this man is picking up a sandwich on the ground of this Victorian multiverse world. I just need you to know that, because that is the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, this is disgusting. So I need you to understand. You can proceed. I think I broke Zach. Are you frozen?
All right, I'm back.
Okay. You actually
Don't know what
froze, and it was such a I broke you. That's what.
My internet decided to reboot, so I had to jump over to I was talking about a shit sandwich, and it literally made my internet reset. That's awesome. So give me just a
Anyway,
second.
you can proceed. I needed everyone to understand. I just needed everyone to understand. If you know anything about history, that is disgusting.
It's awful. She encourages them to leave because, it's not safe. Not safe to eat off the ground, not safe to be around, I don't know, beings of electricity. And she doesn't think that any part of the city is safe right now. Billy's on comms telling her that they might have gotten back in touch with Karn. She tells them that the Electros are hangry, which justified. One Electro says to fry any spider they see, while the other one grabs a sandwich off the ground and eats it. Gwen is stuck with a robot that wants to attack Ham City, and it fails with hilarious results. Scavengers show up. India and Noir, the Avengers scavengers is the what I was talking about. India and Noir argue over Noir not trusting the team and trying to figure out who is running this Oscorp now, because in his world, Norman Osborn was killed. With May Riley then figuring out that the giant mecha can get them back. Turns out the strands are getting worse. Meanwhile, Mayday is attacked by an Electro. Turns out that they are starving and that their blasts have little effect. Billy is requesting the backup, and it turns out that they're...
Again, Billy was creating war crimes.
Kelly will break me. Thanks, Eric. Yeah.
Billy was out here committing war crimes in Victorian London.
So back with Noir, it turns out Harry was in charge all along, and that he was a Spider-Man in his world, meaning that there was some crossing of the streams. Octavia shows up in Earth 982, where we get a minor cameo with MJ and Benji, where Uncle Ben, he's being recruited to join the fray by Octavia, to be continued. So, Kelly, your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Well, like I said, this entire series just breaks me. And when you think it can't get worse, it does. But I feel like doubling down on the sandwiches, and like I said, them being on the ground in a Victorian time frame, where little excrement use is running through the street because indoor plumbing was only for the extremely wealthy, is just a really weird thing to think about. The first thing, and that is, of course, the first thing I think about watching multiple people pick up and eat a finger sandwich. And I, as I stated, needed to get that out there. But also, what's the dig about? So there's a particular line, and I can't remember who. Octavia says it, and it's a dig about that the web is more tangled than earphones in a hipster man's purse. And I don't know what's wrong with carrying a bag for your things, or like what's wrong with hipsters. I don't know how that was supposed to be a joke even in 2015. And just FYI, you know, if you carry a messenger bag or a backpack, it's basically a purse. I really don't get why that was a funny dig. I didn't then, I don't now. And just in case anyone wants to twist this, like I'm being salty about Mayday, like no, this entire series, especially as this is ending, is and this is where I'm going to use my curse word, is a fiery ball of a shit show. It's not funny. The voice in the writing just gets meaner and is taking pot shots at random things for no reason. It's not quirky. It's not of its time. It's just mean. Like there's a mean spirit towards the end of this run that's just very weird. Like I can't be the only one that sees it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it's like he because like we explained last episode, Costa had not done a lot of writing before this at in terms of comics. So I'm wondering if like he thought, oh, this is I'm going to be on this series for a while, and then like there's this bitterness of hey, this is getting canceled, and that's just coming through in the writing. I don't know.
It's possible. Like I said, I don't know. It's just a weird tone. I will say a positive, though unrelated. Love a Harry Osborn appearance always. I know what happens next. I love seeing an Osborn.
Oh, he was so comics. Wholesome in this issue. Like he's like, oh, hey, a Spider-Man. You're a Spider-Man. I'm a Spider-Man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
Cool. I love him. He's great. And yes, seeing Octavia go to the house and seeing MJ and Benji is really cute. I also appreciate again that Octavia is being so set, is like suddenly just so set on getting Mayday home. And just Mayday, like if anybody's noticed, she has not brought up Billy once. Just Mayday.
She goes, Billy's committed the war crimes. Mayday's the innocent party in this. She just wanted to go home. Somebody probably took her side, like, yeah, really, Mayday didn't want to be here. She just kind of got drunk on this.
Yeah, right. Like Gwen's been on the Slack channel. Like, just Slack was not around.
There's a text chat. There's like a group chat.
Yeah. So anyway, I love again Octavia like just does not give an F. So she has grabbed all these different other spiders, giving no Fs, and marched right up to the 982 door to ask Ben if he'd like to bring May home, after explaining that not only was May an amazing like badass and sacrificing herself to be stuck in steampunk world, but also that she's the only one holding the line against like thousands of Electros. The only character that seems remotely respectful and caring about May in this whole series is Octavia, and of course, like I said, for a plot, it's so sudden as we've talked about. And in this, like I said, she's only become this supportive because she became plot device number 1 to wrap this story up. And also, again, why is Benji blonde now?
You're demanding this answer at this point.
I mean, I'm just demanding a lot of things. Like, I need to know the Benjamin Button syndrome that is going on with Benji Parker.
Yeah.
Please.
So I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but this arc especially feels very decompressed. The story itself is very decompressed, and this suffers from a similar thing. Like I have criticisms of like what's his name, the guy that's writing Batman. He wrote Spectacular, wrote the Spider-Man life story miniseries. You remember, you know who I'm talking about?
No.
What's his name?
It's not Tom King.
Not Tom King. No, he's currently writing Batman, but he wrote the Spectacular when they brought back Spectacular Spider-Man for like issue 300 and stuff. Like they had this meta arc. Remember. So my point is they had like this meta arc with like the Tinkerer that nobody cared about, but like there was these individual parts that like, oh, these are nice. And I kind of feel the same way with Costa here. Zdarsky, thank you. It's the Neil, God help me out. Chip Zdarsky. There was individual issues that
he's writing Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I think he jumped over. He never signed an exclusive, I think, and so he's able to.
Good for him. Don't sign exclusives
unless you're Slot. Yeah, he got.
I'm
By the
gonna
way,
be nice and not say what I was about to say. Anyway,
I know. So May feels in character here more protecting the innocents. But separating the teams you have to go through in this, you got to jump through these 5 manufactured hoops to get to the point of the issue. And by the time you check in on all these teams, you're done. And this is like a crutch that somebody writing a team book will do, where they'll separate the teams because it's easier to write 2 or 3 characters in a scene than 6 or 7 characters in a scene. And so, but by doing so, like, if you only care about one specific group, like we do in this show, in this episode, which is Mayday, you're sitting there being forced to slog through this plot to get to the parts that you actually want to read about. Does that make sense? And I think that just doesn't work. Really
basic to me, everything's disjointed. It's almost like there was no, which I'll talk into in the next, like, as we kind of do a recap of the series as a whole a little bit. It's disjointed. Like there's, it almost feels like there was all these different plot points that like somebody somewhere wanted to get in. And I'm not going to say that necessarily it wasn't, maybe it could have been Costa wanting to hit these points in the series and just was trying to figure out a way to do it. Maybe it was someone up in editorial that said that these had to be hit because these look like the popular things from Spider-Verse. But it didn't mesh well. It didn't gel well. And like I said, it just starts coming off where it almost feels like the entire creative team is frustrated and they're taking it out on the comic.
when you're taking things out on the comic, it's
well, it loses, like I said, like it just feels like these characters are not loved. They're not cared for. They don't have a voice. They're just there in this world. A lot of people use the toy analogy, like you're playing with the toys. It just feels like they're like being, thrown around because they were told to play with them when they didn't really want to necessarily play with them like this.
Yeah. That's a very apt point. So moving on to Web Warriors 10. Released on August 17th, 2016. Cover date's October. Same creative team, except we have a second artist in this one, Jay Foskett. I probably butchered that name, and I apologize. Tangled States Part 4, Monarchy. We pick up on Earth 1036. We've never heard of it, and it turns out it is a world where there isn't a spider. It's the same world, maybe as we saw the Spider-Man animated series finale. I'm kidding. I think it's supposed to be like in a Sony MCU-like world where Octavia decides to recruit another Spider-Woman who, mind you, has no powers but did training with 3 different martial arts and says, "You'll do." Spider-Woman has no business being a part of this multiversal stuff.
Sure, anyway, she does. Sure. Emma Roberts totally does. You cannot tell me that that's not secretly Emma Roberts.
Oh.
They made the Julia Roberts joke, and so for some reason my brain rereading this was like, Emma Roberts. This is like American Horror. They walked on the set of American Horror Story, Spider-Verse, and just was like, we'll take you.
So apparently she's Mary Parker in the Madam Web, so it's kind of apt.
We'll see. We'll see. I still think the Benjamin, Mary, Richard, blah 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 stuff is not accurate.
Yeah,
purposefully. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and Neil will start making trouble jokes because that's what he did last time we brought that up. Anyway, so
no,
we just trouble. The book's so bad they won't even put it on Marvel Unlimited because they want to pretend it never happened, despite having Mark Millar and the Dawsons doing the title.
We need to have a special. You know what, guys? Let us know if you really want us to suffer at some point, and to do a special Spideydude Roundhouse of Trouble
for Patreon only, because
No. No, the world needs to know.
Okay, all right. Let us know. All right, so we get an artist change with May and Brian who fight Electros. It looks like it should have been focused on like drawing the world of Spider-Ham, but no, it's not. It's 803. It's very bizarre. Octavia continues to get to the wrong spots, going from an underwater world with Kevin Costner and to a world where the people are made of freaking bread. May Riley then gets an idea about resonating thanks to Punk's drumming on Mecha Spidey's foot, and Harry Osborn figures out that all this dimension hopping might have caused all this chaos to begin with. It also turns out he's a bad guy as well.
Harry Osborn did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. We'll talk about this later. He did nothing wrong, and they shouldn't have like destroyed him using the power of rock and roll. Anyway, keep going.
Turns out he both got goblin powers inherited from his father and the spider powers because he got bit by the radioactive spider. But he's apparently not a nice guy. But according to Kelly, he is a nice guy. He didn't do anything wrong.
He did nothing wrong.
After
in this story,
that's fair.
In this
story, yeah.
So people were out there committing war crimes.
Yeah, he did the least amount of war crimes in this story. So Octavia ends up going to not Muppet Baby World, but Baby World. We have Brian, I put Brian again, Billy and May fighting their tails off. They jump to Ham's world where they pick up Gwen and the mecha. Next page, we see Mayday continuing to fight to exhaustion, where finally Octavia shows up. Riley hooks Hobie's gear to May Riley, the giant mecha, and they save the day, at least temporarily, with rock and roll. Or Punk, the Electro pure energy, says he must have it like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and he takes over the mecha to set up our final issue. Kelly, your thoughts on this one? Penultimate issue.
Yeah, this penultimate issue. The art change, the art tone of is it Forget?
Farget? I don't know.
Farget. I apologize for butchering. I apologize for butchering it. It's the art tone shift is very weird in the story because it also just story-wise is not the appropriate place for that kind of cartoonish artwork. And, I've stated before, I don't like to critique art. I don't think I should. The art itself is gorgeous in terms of not gorgeous, but it's very cute for the style. Like the style of I guess their art style, it's cute. It's clean. I would like it in a different story. It doesn't fit here, especially in the scenes it's in, because it's so cartoony. And the shift is just so abrupt and jarring. And then the shift back to it is also abrupt and jarring that it's like eye whiplash. It's very strange. Yeah. It makes it hard to take the issue seriously and even continue reading the issue, to be honest. Like, it is a chore. And I think that's just because, one, there's a weird tone change in the writing, and as I've mentioned last issue, and now it also then plays into this art, because it was why are these? It's what, 3 or 4 pages, and then back to Balderon. It's strange. I mean, obviously something happened. I mean, we're not going to speculate, but it is just it's a strange thing, because it almost feels too, it's like the art styles are just so different.
It felt like they were in this. Yeah, it felt like they were on this really tight deadline, and so it took me completely out of the story. It's not like you say, it's not bad art. It's just it doesn't really mesh with what Baldeon's doing, because Baldeon's doing a cartoony semi-realism, whereas this is more just pure cartoony, and it just doesn't. It felt like
I'll
something.
Put it this way, it almost goes from Danny Phantom to Peanuts to Danny Phantom.
Exactly. It felt like something happened to those 3 pages, and they're like, "Oh crap, we've got to go get somebody to quick, because we're hitting the deadline." They're like, "Where are these 3 pages?" And they're like, "Oh no, something got lost in the mail or something." Is what it, because normally when you do the 2 artists, they'll do especially at least since Nick Lowe has taken over, and I've kind of started this a little bit with Whacker too. They would have an artist do a specific set of scenes, and then the other artist would do the other scenes. So if you have like two artists, the tone would be consistent across the scenes because it would be dealing with the same characters and stuff like that. We don't see that here. It's just like random 3 pages, and it's like, oh,
turn
the page.
Because you're dealing with different worlds, when you turn it and it's a totally different thing, you just think, oh, okay, we're now in a different world, and it's like, no, we're still in the same.
No.
What?
Yeah. So it's like we don't have a lot of notes on this particular issue. I think for that reason, it's just like, oh, this took me out of the world. And I almost did Smeagol, but I decided not to do the Smeagol voice just because.
Yeah, no. I don't think we need more chaos than already like is given here, because this entire thing is chaos. Like we all know I hate tangents, and it's like all of my breakdowns are just tangents because what else do we have? Like this is God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully you guys are finding this. Hopefully you find our recaps in our commentary far more entertaining than the actual story itself.
Yeah, I hope we're endearingly charming, because I am trying my best to stay upbeat with it, because I like I said, there's no reason to like completely destroy this. But it is. Oof. It is. Right. This is a shit show.
All right, so Web Warriors 11, the final issue that we're covering tonight. Yay! Released on September 28th, 2016. The cover date is November. Written by Mike Costa. Art by David Baldion, just by himself. Democracy. It is Tangled States finale. Democracy. We open with the only 2 spiders that are not in our final battle royale, Noir and India, where Harry Osborn has gassed our heroes to try to take over the world. Brain from Pinky and the Brain would be so proud. Needless to say, he shows up in Loom World looking for some trouble, but it's not really there. But meanwhile, the great battle has ensued, and Uncle Ben, I won't call him Uncle Hasbin. Uncle Ben has an idea, but it requires
Bunker.
Uncle Bunker has an idea, and it requires him to head back to his now adopted home of Earth 982. This is when Harry shows up, and after grabbing Noir in India, and he heads back to action because he doesn't want to get Ben shows up, grabs.
He doesn't want. He wrote between Karn and the meal, whatever is going on there. Yeah,
because he doesn't want to get between Harry and Karn, and Karn eating Harry because Karn hasn't ate in a while. So he grabbed the brain swapping device that Octavia had used to kind of like earlier in the series, and sacrifices himself into the conscience of Electro. He understands now and asks, the big giant mecha Electro person asks, nay, demands that the Electros cease this mindless destruction. Octavia thinks that they won, but Harry is trying to destroy everything. Karn has let them know.
He did nothing wrong. I would destroy everything if I lived in this world too.
Karn has let the team know that's not ending well. Then they kind of do a similar thing they did to the last issue, except instead of one strand that they're making, that they're vibrating the frequency of, it is now all the strands. And it's the whole web. This hurts Harry Half-Face, and Ham beats him up for the bacon jokes that he made up last issue. The battery is the entity that took over the mecha. Sin helps send the Electros home, and they head back to Loom World. The battery threatens, revenge one day. But Uncle Ben's conscience is still there. So Ham says that the one rule they keep is to keep the leftovers with your name on them, even though that he blatantly violated this rule, and gets called out rightfully by May. That says that's not even a rule.
Not our May, by May Riley.
May Riley, excuse me. Yes,
Lady Spider.
Lady Spider. And Octavia has set up the devices where they're not as disruptive. Punk is begging Gwen to help cut an album, and Noir comments that this was all their fault, as a proper Peter Parker would do. Because this is, the point where Peter Parker was like, it's all my fault all the time. Karn reassures them that the Web Warriors will be the ones to fix it. And we get a final splash page acting like a clip show where you see this like you see on sitcoms via the inner parts of the web, highlighting different and various parts of the run. The end. Kelly, your thoughts?
Well, it's over. Thank goodness. But yeah, so I actually forgot how quickly Ben dies. It's like 2 pages, and it's kind of hilarious. Like, this, I really should not find this funny, but I find it funny. It's just very anticlimactic, especially as his last words before merging with the Electros is like, "I don't have to teach you girls about responsibility," as he's talking to Gwen randomly talking to Gwen and May, when the whole time, like, not just in Web Warriors, he's been telling people, like, since he has existed in this Spider-Verse era, he has been telling people to take a break and make their friends clean up their messes. Like, that's not responsibility. You taught nothing, Uncle Bunker. If anything, May taught you twice. You just lived in the Parker home, rent-free, no job, for no reason, like, for months. Like, Ben, Bunker Ben. His great sacrifice is getting the Electro hive mind to threaten to barbecue the Electros that are not merged with it, like not merged with the battery, if they don't cease fire. Like, that's not responsibility. That's just rightfully bullying people into doing like what you want them to do. Like, this is how this ends. This is how this series ends. His last line is, "I don't have to teach you about responsibility."
And these have,
like,
and suddenly
the Sailor Moon went like meme, like the where Tuxedo Mask just like drops a rose and goes, "My work here is done," and Sailor Moon's like, "But you didn't do any," like that. That's literally the way this feels, and I'm like, I should not be laughing, but this is really funny.
Like,
but overall,
it's a metaphor. So
yeah,
like,
sorry.
Uncle Ben is like the conscience of Spider-Man, right? Great power, there must come great responsibility. So, like,
There must also come
great responsibility, excuse me. And so him sacrificing himself is supposed to be like this metaphorical thing, is that he's becoming the conscience of the battery now. I get that. Doesn't make it less stupid.
I get the idea. It's just, this is not the Uncle Ben we know and love. This is not the Uncle Ben that, should have,
this is a guy that
should be idolized.
Yeah, this is the guy that shirked his responsibility in his world. He's like, well, Otto Octavius is, threatening a nuclear device. Maybe I should go stop. No, I'm going to go sit here and play cards with myself in the bunker because Ezekiel told me so.
So there's that. But also, he gets out. He wants to change his life around. What does he do? He goes around behind May's back, talking to all her friends, saying, "Isn't she doing too much? Don't you think she's going to burn out? She needs help." Helps her one time. And really, his help was like showing up the like last 2 minutes of the fight. He did nothing. He threw one punch. Then has done nothing but sit in the house. No job. I doubt he's paying rent. To tell other young teenage spiders that they need, that they have friends that can do the work for them, and they should just chill out. Like, this is like the guy that just hangs out, and like, he's way too old to be talking to teenagers, but like, he hangs around the teenagers at like the gas station and buys them booze. Like, this man is not responsible. He is sorry, Uncle Ben Bunker is a loser. And his legacy will always be, "I don't have to teach you girls about responsibility." And I think that's glorious. But like I said, ultimately this run is just really cringe, and it ends so cringe. Like, the first, this is the first thing that we can't, like, it's hard to find anything in this run that is lasting or meaningful.
Yeah.
It feels like a soulish cash grab by Marvel, and it doesn't feel like the creative team really enjoyed their time on this or writing this. It's not a cohesive story. It's just something that had to be out by deadline. And I'm not saying that that's not the business, because it is. And, not everything can be a hit. Not everything works out. But think of everything we've read so far on Make Mine Mayday. One positive we constantly had with Spider-Verse is there was at least some passion for some of the characters.
Right.
We were pretty solid on that. Like, there was some care, twisted as it may be, in the characters. The story was bad in Spider-Verse, but the characters, there was heart there. And this feels weird. And like I said, a ton of out of character moments for almost every single character. And I'm glad that we can move on from this. I'm glad that we went over this and showed the change in creative, like just within Marvel in general, the tone shift that the company has had, because the themes here will be reoccurring moving forward. But this is like the absolute worst run we deal with the entire time, I think. And that is saying a lot.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, we talked extensively with Spider-Verse how bad. Again, like I said earlier, this is offensive but dumb, whereas Spider-Verse was offensive, but they're two different shades of the same color.
Yeah, so Slot's team wanted to make us angry on Spider-Verse, because basically it was like, make you angry so you're reading it, you hate reading it. This is more just, I think they like sent this team out with barely any tools, saying, hey, here's this deadline, have fun.
Yeah. And then they got an extension. They're like, oh crap, we need to continue the story.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it really feels like. And I completely agree with you on all these points. I said, in my notes, well, it's over. Thank God. It's an inoffensive story. In terms of
it's
overall.
inoffensive.
Well, hang on. In terms of overall, like, there are problems with this story as we have highlighted in both parts, right? But like, does this change does it change like the world? No, it doesn't really do anything to advance the characters. It just exists in that way. And parts of it obviously give me a WTF vibe. What were they thinking? And it becomes kind of silly. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to try to write a team book. I used to write fan fiction, and the fan fiction I wrote was a team book because I was an idiot. And the flaws.
But so this is my thing about fan fiction. Fan fiction is it's almost like where you go to hash out things. I'll even say, like, I've gone back to like older fandoms and just like checked it. Like, I'm talking about like these dead things on fanfiction.net. I'm pulling up stories from 2004.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes they're hard to read, but it's also, guess what? You didn't get paid for it. It didn't get published. So you're allowed those mistakes. And obviously I'm not saying that not everybody, I mean, things happen. And with these deadlines and the fact that a lot of times with Marvel, the deadlines seem to be so fast, especially now. And I think this is the time where this started getting revved up like that. It's hard. It's hard to do your research. It's hard to get your story straight unless you already have it in mind. And I think ultimately the issue was Costa did not have a story in mind when he was handed the book, or like given,
I think he had more fun making up different worlds for spiders to interact with than he did having to go back to worlds that were previously existing.
Well, and that's like the fan aspect of it. That's the creative process of it. But he never, I don't think he went through fully. It's basically, it's almost kind of like he didn't take a step back and actually look at the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a beginning, middle, and end to this in his mind when he started.
Yeah. And for me, like, there's also certain emotions that I think when I think about these issues, because like I remember getting issue 5 at Hastings in the dying days of Hastings. And like that makes me a little melancholy too. But I don't know. This probably reads better as a trade than it does in the single issues. And it's not that great of a work. I mean, I think we've hammered that point home a lot tonight.
I hate saying stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like I've told you guys in the beginning, to me, Mike, we're making fun of Billy creating war crimes. Like Mike Costa created war crimes with his portrayal of Mayday. And
Yeah.
I refuse to let that go. I feel like as a fan, I deserve an apology.
And talking about
you had
this,
our girl making sandwiches for 4 hours and you made it as a huge kitchen joke. And I'm sorry. I am sorry. You knew the context of what you were doing.
Yeah,
when you wrote
that's
that.
Yeah. To especially doing it to a 16-year-old girl. That's not good.
During the height of Gamersgate, I don't care. You knew
that's
exactly what joke you were doing.
Yeah. Speaking of like being rushed and stuff like that, I like Baldion's work, but it is clear when you read these issues through, the first 5 issues, I felt like everybody had their distinct styles. But as the cast grew, that was lost in the back half of this in these issues. I do like how he flexed his muscles a little bit in the first half of the story, like the issues we covered last episode. But when you get to these issues, it's like, and he had a lot of fun things to say in the letters page of the final issue. Also, it teases Clone Conspiracy for the next thing to see the Web Warriors in. And the less said about that, the better, because it's an abomination. Or you can just go listen to the CSC episode.
Mayday's not in it, so we don't have to talk about
I
it
know.
here.
But
she finally got to go home and never touch this ever again.
What?
Sort of. She does show up. She does keep showing up, but she was able to just go home and forget this happened.
That is the good thing, but if you want to hear my rants about that, CSC episode 62 on Spideydude about that. But no, you're right. At least the one thing that came out of this is that May finally got to go do the thing that she wanted to do at the beginning of this entire series, which was go home and just go be with her family. And you don't have to worry about Uncle Has-Been. So some problems.
He's gone.
He's dead.
Yeah, so it's not dead. His consciousness is in the battery, the electro battery, which is like, so this is another thing. This is another thing that like is just slightly stupid. It like doesn't have any like meaningful lasting impact because we never really saw Ben dealing with any sort of electros really, And so he dies inside what is essentially like the big giant multiverse web, the 4 electros.
Yeah.
Like
he's now the conscience of the web of electros. Like
you know what I mean? Like it's like okay, how does this no, take that off. That's not even funny. That's mean. Actually, like mean. I don't like that. Like the character sucks. He's a bum. But it's like I don't know.
Yeah, because
that wasn't
there's a certain level of vitriol that we don't want to get to, right?
No, and that's very much in that vitriol category. Yeah. That's not okay. For audio listeners, it was just a thing. Just a comment that we're not gonna
I will say this comment is the web warriors are incompetent. They're absolutely incompetent. That is correct. That is I think it's mostly
why is Spider-Ham like running the show?
Yeah, look, and this characterization of Ham, I still maintain it's not the Spider-Ham of the Star Comics. Like it's not. It's a twisted.
This is a twisted man. This is a twisted like anamorphic man that will strip naked to pretend to be a baby. Just in case anyone forgot about how Spider-Verse ended.
That's how the story ends. Via a naked ham man.
Sorry.
Half man, half
like I said, this is a dark time. This was a dark time.
Like the Spider-Verse movie Ham feels like Star Comics Ham to me a lot more. than this. This is just
some of the jokes that he says in this movie though come from this newer iteration, but it's the way it comes off is a lot more cutesy. It's a lot more in that
there's an
nostalgia.
Innocence.
Because this is there's something, like I said, it's
going through some stuff, guys.
Well, I think Marvel was going through some stuff. I think some of the people that were a main part of like these different characterizations were clearly very bitter at the world. Is the way I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I hope they've all been in therapy and have worked on themselves since this time.
Yeah. Do we kind of want to start getting to? So we didn't have any emails or voicemails. I did check earlier.
I didn't see. Okay, cool. Because if you sent something and didn't see Spideydude, I did not see it. So we don't really have anything. So I guess we can do our year-end reflections because we are not going to do any more episodes for the rest of December.
Yep.
We will come back at some point next year. I am not going to give us a date for January just yet because of everything in our personal lives that we are picking up pieces from this year and trying to have a better 2024. So we will tell you guys on social media when the next episode is. Obviously, after our year in reflections, we'll kind of go into what the next episode will be.
Right.
I just want to make sure that we're transparent with you guys that we don't have the timeline set. We don't know necessarily what's going to happen. We just know it will.
Yeah, we're getting to the very nitty gritty in terms of what we have left to cover in terms of the books, not like what we have left to cover in general, but like in the terms of the Mayday of Earth 982, we're getting the appearances are getting less and less as we continue to move on. And so we got to figure out how we want to cover some of the bigger stuff. And we'll talk about that in a second, but just to get into like our reflections, in terms of this show, I can say it's been a wild year for what we've covered. We've done 17 different streams for this show this year. And we haven't done that much since 2021, which was like our first full calendar year, where we did 23 episodes. And last year we did 14. So we were about one stream a month, a little over. And we did about almost, we were doing for a while there, we were doing exactly 2 streams a month for a while. And we kind of slowed down obviously towards the end of this year. We finished Amazing Spider-Girl. We did all of the digital Spectacular Spider-Girl. We did the miniseries Spectacular Spider-Girl, the end, Spider-Verse, Spider Island, interviewed Tom, Ron, and Pat, which was a long-held goal of ours to do. So we've done all this stuff this year. That's a lot. We've also, and that's something that we are very proud of. We should be proud of that. Despite all these things that, Kelly mentioned that happened in our personal lives, I got divorced this year. I haven't really talked about that officially. And so I moved moved out of the house and moved into this apartment. And that's been a shit show. Like we went through a lot and Kelly went through a lot more than I did. But she is the heart of this show.
That's saying something. And of course, I won't bring up everything, but like, I'm shocked I'm still here. I'll be honest. I'm sure everybody else is if they know.
Knowing what all you've been here and all the heartache and just setbacks and everything that you've gone through this year. Like Mayday, you don't give up, and you'll talk about that here in a second more. But next year we got Spider-Girls, the not end of Spider-Verse. We've got the unlimited material that we've talked about in the past, whatever Marvel decides to throw at us. And then if we want to do things like Earth X, so we don't have as set of a journey once we get through these books. And it's kind of fun because we're like, hey, it's not we're massively further than we ever thought of doing with our old show. And you know, I am proud of where we are. And you know, I am thankful for Kelly and this show and look forward to turning the page on this year and just going and exhaling, because it feels like we haven't been able to exhale. And mostly, you know, wrapping up the bulk of these reviews for these other books, you know, throughout the next year, we'll get that done, you know, whether we do it twice a month or once a month, whatever we do. And that's hard to believe. You know, if you had told me a couple of years ago that we would be at this point, you know, I always get very, you know, like, man, we did it, because, you know, we did that with CSC, we did it with Spec Radio, we're doing it with this. And it always feels very much like an accomplishment, because there are so many shows that start and never finish. And the fact that we've gotten this far is frankly great. So, Kelly,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
As I wrote in the thing, we're in the end game now. But we do have a lot to look forward to, and this really isn't even we're not nearing the end of Make Mine Mayday. Beyond finishing up the comics, we will have like movie reviews and other media reviews to do, as we've promised. I still want us to get those fan panels to talk about the history of some key fan art, fan fiction, AMVs, etc., and see if we can highlight those fans and give them, you know, their flowers, their dues.
Yep.
And maybe a cosplay panel, maybe, you know, that I control. So it's a little bit more focused on like costuming. But we'll see what 2024 brings. We've worked so hard in, like I said, it's been like 3.5 years really. And, you know,
Yep.
we've been doing Make Mine Mayday, and I've always had the plan of finishing what Mayday Mondays never quite got to do with the reviews.
Yep.
And I'm proud of what we've been able to do and make happen despite a ton of upheaval and Parker luck in our lives, because the last 3 years, you know, Zach and I have gone through a lot. A lot. Like the fact that like technically we didn't really like become friends until early 2020, like just before the pandemic. And it's like, it feels like it's been
like we
decades.
First met like late 2019 on Crawl Space, and then really became friends during the pandemic. I leave Crawl Space. That's a big part of my life that I left. And then we start this new journey after we were going to redo Mayday Mondays, and then that didn't work out. And you know, for us to kind of not even take that torch, but like go grab another torch, light it on fire, and then just start running. And we've been sprinting. Like this has been something
I have not let us stop. Like that's one thing, is I have not let us stop as much as like for our mental health. There's been times where maybe we should have.
Right.
So,
but this has also become a bit of an escape for both of us. Like, I mean, we, you know, and it helps that we're doing stories for the most part, these last 2 episodes notwithstanding, that we've enjoyed a lot of the material. You know what
like
I mean?
A lot of times it's felt like the hug that we needed. It felt like, you know, revisiting the old friend that, you know, we don't always get to see. And that's partly why, like, with everything that happened this year, while this episode felt like why there's such a big break in between the last 2 episodes, because there was a lot. And let's be fair, this doesn't give you those warm fuzzy feelings at the as much as I try to at least make this episode give you some laughs and warm fuzzy feelings, the actual content did not. But that's, you know, we knew that this was happening. We constantly made jokes that we were going to be in the dark ages, and you know, we didn't quite know how well that was going to be. But you know, I've always wanted to. Sorry, what?
No, go ahead. No, you have more to say, so go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like we've always managed to make sure we had a good set of shows out for you guys, and hopefully the quality has only ever gotten better. Even, you know, when we get scatterbrained and off topic. I appreciate Zach letting me have that kind of creative control here and making sure we never slack on an episode, because I'm pretty sure if I ever tried to take the reins anywhere else, I would be deemed difficult. I'm pretty sure I'm deemed difficult regardless in my refusal to do some things. But I never want to disrespect the fans, the creators, and each other by not giving everything and making sure that we put out the best thing ever. Mayday never gave up ever. When even when she's being written so badly and she's dealing with so much that is thrown at her, like we've dealt with the past few episodes with Spider-Verse and Web Warriors. And I think we do a pretty good job at embodying that unbreakable spirit on and off the show. I'm proud of what we've accomplished, and I'm excited to see our next chapter of Make Mine Mayday in 2024, and just kind of what amazing, spectacular, sensational, et cetera, things we will find in the new year. Oh God, what did Walter say? All I saw.
Walter said, "You forgot the most important thing, Kelly, my soundboard."
Look, we know how I feel about the soundboard.
She hates it.
I do.
Hi, Andrew. Sorry, you are late, buddy.
That's okay. You can come back and just rewatch it and tell us your thoughts.
Yes. So, and that kind of, so Kelly, kind of talk about what we're doing next, and then I'll do the standard outro that we always do. So
yeah, totally. So next episode at some point in 2024, early 2024, will be Spider-Geddon, or at least Mayday's story in Spider-Geddon. We'll be splitting up Spider-Girl. What I wrote in here is we'll split up Spider-Girls in two. But that also may not happen necessarily. I've not looked everything over. We're going to go through the prelude to Spider-Geddon, beginning of Spider-Geddon, Spider-Girls, and the end of Spider-Geddon. And also the aftermath issues of Spider-Geddon. And that's kind of a whole thing. It probably will be 2 episodes. I just have to figure out how that gets split up, because the 3 issues of Spider-Girls is kind of throwing me through a loop on that split.
You have a 3-issue miniseries in the middle of a 5-issue miniseries with a miniseries
in between a prelude and a postlude situation. It's very. I got to figure it out. But we are going to figure it out, and we'll have at least 2 episodes on Spider-Geddon for sure. And its lead up into 2024. So stay tuned, Tree Believers, and we got to work out our ever evolving schedules, but like I said, it should be early this year or early in the next year.
Yeah. So, with that being said too, I mean, you got to follow us on our social medias. You got to share, like, and share and subscribe. And we've, more than doubled our subscribers in the last year too. And that's something that's really awesome. And so we getting constantly.
Thank you,
people,
Gargoyles fans.
Gargoyles fans, but also YouTube Shorts, which I'm hoping to do more clips of this show in the next year as well. So that's something that you'll be seeing across the network, not just for this show, but Spidey Experience and anything else we do. But yeah, so once we figure out the structure of the story, I'll go off a lot over the history between this story, and we'll catch you up on the backstory with Spider-Geddon, because that's kind of a weird one.
It's like I said, it's we were talking about this before we were recording, because to me, I feel like because of how many issues we're going to have to comb through, it should be 2 episodes. However, it might wind up just being one long one, because ultimately, she's just showing up in a panel or 2. There's times where she's in an issue, she doesn't talk, she's just there, almost like a featured extra. Yeah. And so it's a very strange situation that that's kind of why my brain is sitting here going, oh, well, there's 10 issues, but is there really 10 issues of content?
Is it going to be like a Spider-Verse?
This is where we're getting to.
Yeah. Is it going to be like Spider-Verse, where, hey, the amount of appearances, it's in a funnel right now, and we're getting towards the bottom of the funnel. And so, which is unfortunate, because this character, I think we've proven how great this character is. So lots of stuff coming down the pike. So with that being said,
wait, hold on. Can we highlight Marcy's comment because
which one?
that it preludes into a long-standing joke with me. Annie Mae sounds like Beyonce. Oh no, it's a song Beyonce says, and Beyonce says Annie Mae, and it just sounds like anime. And that is something I think you should put on your soundboard, because I will approve that, because whenever I read Spider-Girls, that's all I thought about was that stupid song.
I'm having issues with the stuff playing and through the soundboard, so I've got to figure it out.
Karma.
So yeah. So if you want to be a part of the program, and we haven't had a lot of feedback in a while, leave us a 5-star review if you're listening to the audio edition. And if you're an audio listener, thank you. We really do appreciate you.
Yeah. Send us, I think Spotify now allows comments. So if you are listening to the audio version on Spotify, definitely tell us how you like the episode. Definitely leave us questions in that. I mean, treat it like a normal comment page. Send us emails at Make My Mayday or Spideydude at both of them are at gmail.com. And just let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you want to see next, especially as we're nearing the end of the reviews. If you want us to interview anybody again, because I'm always happy to invite the guys on.
So I have something that I'll talk about in detail on SDE, but I think I'm where we have made inwards at Marvel, and I'll leave it at that. So
but then you'll mention I'm around, and they'll be like, oh no, not that girl that
well
that says we're misogynistic and sexist all the time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the show. But I think that we might be able to get certain former people that were editors that are now back at Marvel.
Good. Yeah, no, because that's
kind of where that's more my brain is going.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll be on my best behavior, I promise. I always am. Yeah,
you're just having fun. And so, like I say, if you have not already followed us on our social medias, the Facebook page is at Spideydude Network. Same thing with Instagram and Threads. You can find Kelly on Instagram at KMcDaniel28. You can find us on YouTube. If you've not subscribed, if you're an audio listener, go to subscribe on YouTube, because we'll throw up visual aids, live comments too. Thank you guys to everybody that commented on with us live as well. That really, it helps make the show. We really do appreciate it. Even if we don't put everything up on the screen, I do read all the comments. And so you can also find us on Twitter at Spideydude Radio and at Make My Mayday. And find us on TikTok as well. So if you have not already, go share, subscribe, go find us, go leave us those 5-star reviews, go leave us those comments on Spotify. And we really do appreciate it. Thank you guys. It's been a great 2023. And here's the 2024. We'll see you next time here on the Spideydude.
And happy Hanukkah, since we're recording on the first night of Hanukkah.
Yes, happy Hanukkah.
But happy holidays, happy New Year, and we will see y'all in 2024. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas, and for me, happy birthday here in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, happy birthday on the 28th.
Yep, me and Stan, forever we'll have the same birthday.
Well, so and both of us have the 28th in general as obvious lucky numbers.
Obviously. Everybody, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. See you in 2024.